Hi, and welcome back to the Positive Prepper. Thanks for hanging in there with me. I have not forgotten that one of my next giveaways is the first aid kit. Okay, I just have not gotten it to put together. I have some really cool stuff to put in there, and I want to make sure that it's hopefully worth your effort in commenting. So hopefully on the next video, I will have that ready to go. And I will have the question that you will have to respond to in order to have your name in the hat to get that. So a lot has been going on. As I'm sure you're well aware right now, we have Trump's announcement that he's running in 2024. We have the 2 missiles that hit Poland, although we don't know a lot of information about that. We have all of this stuff going on with the threats to the schools. And, you know, our prices are insane right now for some things. So I had a friend of mine, she's in our MAG group, and she found the cheapest Walmart brand napkins, you know, just the really flimsy paper ones, were almost $7 for a package. My husband went to the local grocery store just recently to get lettuce for our guinea pigs, and that was almost $6 a head of lettuce. Prices are becoming just insane. So there's a lot to talk about. I'm not going to get through it all in this video. I'm going to do the best that I can. But I want to catch everybody up on where we are, especially on Trump running the 2 missiles that hit Poland, and how all of this stuff that's going on right now could affect you and your preps. So the first thing, just really quick, I read an article today, and I apologize that I cannot put these links in the description because I didn't have time to write anything down. You've heard about a lot of these schools lately that have had these threats that they're either bomb threats or school shooters, which unfortunately we have had in, I think it was Virginia. A lot of these threats are coming from overseas. So when the police department gets a threat that a school has a bomb on it or a school shooting threat, a lot of that is coming from overseas. And I don't know where. Like I said, I haven't had time to do the research on this. When I do, I will make sure that I put those links in the next video so that you guys can look this up. But we have basically what's happening is we have foreign countries that are trying to keep that scare tactic going in our schools. And this is not okay. Hopefully our Department of Defense, which is more worried about parents than it is this type of thing, will actually catch on to that and do something about it. The 2 missiles that hit Poland, you know, we really don't have a lot of information on that right now. I'm not freaking out. Yes, they are saying that it was Russian missiles that hit Poland, which is NATO territory, right? And so they can invoke Article 4 and 5, which is basically if they strike any NATO, an inch of NATO territory, right, we're going to protect that. NATO is going to come in. All of the allies are going to come in, and they're going to do something about it. But we don't have enough information about this to go crazy yet, so don't panic. This does not mean that World War III has started. Okay, we need a lot more information about this. Was it actually the Russians? Was it Ukrainian defense missiles that went astray, or they blew the missile out and it went over the border? okay? We don't know. Was it a target? Was it Russian missiles that went astray? We don't know yet as of this video. Okay, so don't panic. We're not there yet. It sounds like from everything that I watched today and listened to and read that the allies, the NATO allies, are really trying to take a very conservative approach to this. They're not automatically going to go after Russia. What was interesting to me is a lot of prepping channels came right out and said, oh my gosh, we're in World War III, right? Panic, panic, panic. No, don't do that. We're not there yet. We don't know what happened. We don't know what Poland, what they want to have happen. We don't know that yet. So if you watch other prepping channels that got all hyped up about that, calm down. It's okay. We're not there yet. Okay, we don't know what happened. We know right now that the Democrats have held the Senate and that it looks to be a 50-50 split, which Kamala would have the deciding vote on. It still looks like the Republicans might take the House. I haven't said a lot about this either because how does that really change things? We have a lot of rhinos that are in the Republican Party. We also have a lot of Democrats that lean more center rather than leftist. So right now, I don't know how that changes things. I can speculate. I think it's going to be a really bumpy 2 years, like really bumpy 2 years. And I don't know what's going to be done. I don't know if anything is actually going to get through. We know for certain with this election that everybody is in, they've picked their sides. And I'm going to be honest, after the midterms, I was super, super angry. In my mind, how can anybody look at the world that we are in right now and the direction that this country is headed and think that anybody voting Democrat would have any common sense? I don't understand it. I can't put my brain in that, okay? But it is what it is, and we have to deal with that. But once again, here we are, those of us that think the way that I do, and possibly the way that a lot of you do, we know that the next 2 years are going to be super bumpy, and we sit back and we complain about it, just like we did after 2020, right? Nothing was done. What are we going to do this time? And my poor husband had to sit and listen to probably an hour-long discussion or debate about this. I don't know how much more can happen before this country goes in the toilet. And are we going to keep taking this? The high prices, the high gas, the high food, the high electricity, blackouts happening. We're on the precipice of war if we're not going to be there by the time you wake up tomorrow. Where has any of this gotten us? Our Fourth Amendment, our Fifth Amendment, our First Amendment, they've all gone down the toilet. And our Constitution means nothing. And they come right out and they say that. Crime in the cities. We had it's a county just south of where I'm at in Wisconsin, had an armed carjacking. That doesn't happen here, but it's happening now. Because these criminals, unless you are the one attacking Paul Pelosi, there's no consequence to what you do. If you're my age, and I'm not going to give that away, but if you're in the older bracket, mid to older bracket, you remember when getting called to the principal's office was a really bad thing, right? You were like, oh my gosh, they're going to call my parents. I'm probably going to get beat, right? Or spanked, or there's going to be some consequence to that. Right now, these kids go to the principal's office and it's like, oh, cool. I get to walk around the principal for a half hour. And that's where I want to be. I don't want to be in the classroom. So being called to the principal's office has no consequence. It's a reward now. And I know that from working in the school system. With all of these things going so badly, and with the potato in chief right now not being able to, how do I want to say that? Not being able to stay energetic through these meetings that are so super important and are supposed to be a way to show our superiority and our leadership. And we have none. So I don't understand it. I don't understand why there wasn't a red wave. But of course, the young people were promised free money towards their student loans. Right? Free money. Give me free. As long as you give me free, I'm going to vote for you. Now they're finding out this might not even happen because it was illegal. Does this make our country any better? No, it does not. And I feel really bad for Europe right now because with this escalation, you not only have the current prices and the blackouts, but this is going to be a really hard winter for you guys. I know one of you guys out there is from the UK, and my heart goes out to you because I know how much you're going to struggle this winter. Go back and watch some of the videos that I've done about heating your home, saving on your electricity, prepping that food, prepping that heat, prepping that gas, doing what you need to do to survive that dark winter. My heart truly goes out to you because I know how much you're going to struggle. There's something about these missiles that hit Poland that I want you guys to be aware of, and I don't know how many of you are. There is a group called the Wagner Group. It looks like it's W-A-G-N-E-R, Wagner, but it's pronounced Wagner Group, okay? Essentially what this is a private military organization in Russia. And they are very ruthless. And you can Google search this. They'll tell you all about it. This group allows Putin to have plausible deniability. Well, 2 missiles hit Poland. The defense minister in Russia is saying we never shot any missiles close to the Polish border. The Wagner Group has the same capabilities. They're much more ruthless, and they're not so much under the control of Putin as they used to be. Okay? They can be blamed for all of the crimes happening in Ukraine. And Russia can stand back and go, well, we didn't know anything about this, right? Plausible deniability. But they have been very effective in the fighting against Ukraine. Our local media says that Russia left the Kherson region with their tail between their legs, and it was a humiliating defeat. It wasn't. Russia pulled back purposefully so that they could reorganize their troops and lob, I don't remember, 30 missiles, however many it was, in Ukraine today. And they're trying to rein in this Wagner group. But as long as there is war, this Wagner group stays well financed, and so does Russian military. So whatever the Wagner group does out there, it builds up their finances and their strength because they're able to pull in more people. It's kind of like a rebel group fighting for Russia, and I'm going to put that in quotes. They get money. Russia's military gets money. But Putin himself has plausible deniability. We had nothing to do with that. We had nothing to do with the shelling on civilians, right? I don't know what else to say about that other than until we know the truth about these missiles that hit Poland, we can't speculate, and we cannot listen to the Western media about where that came from or what's going on. My other question is Poland going to be honest about where those missiles came from? Because we know that in the war machine, there's a lot of people that stand to make money. So even though they're part of NATO, are they going to be honest about what actually happened? And who are they going to be pressured by to say? Now, some of you might be sitting back saying, how can you not believe anymore that this was Russia? I have seen nothing yet that has changed my mind in the months since Russia started going after Ukraine. I have not seen anything in those months that tells me still that Russia's the bad guy. I'm not living it over there. I'm getting it from a lot of different sources, but I still can't say that, the Russians they're just going after Ukraine and they're doing all these bad things. And yes, civilians are going to die. The United States is guilty of that. We're still guilty of that. Look up the wars that we are fighting quietly, and how many civilians have either been displaced or killed. We're just as guilty. So I can't say that. Now that might change depending on what happens with the investigation on these missiles in Poland. But right now I'm not going to say it. The other thing I want to get to is Trump running again in 2024. I voted for Trump in 2020. And I did so knowing that his heart was in America. Look at what he did in the 4 years as president. Low gas prices, low food prices, energy independent. We were hiring people left and right. COVID came in, and I can't say a lot because this is what gets me kicked off. But it pretty much, he was listening to the wrong people. I guess that's how I'm going to put it. He was listening to the wrong people. But even then, our economy and everything, we had peace agreements globally. We weren't at the precipice of war. Now, some are saying that because Trump backed a lot of these senators and congressmen, that's why it wasn't a red wave. While I don't believe that Trump had a whole lot to do with that, I think there might be some truth in that. In the house across the street from the building in which I work, when I'm not subbing, they have a Trump 2024 flag flying. They also have a Trump 1 2020 flag, which I completely agree with. However, I don't believe that former President Trump is what we need right now. I don't believe that he can get this country back. This is just my opinion, and I'd like to hear your comments. If it was Don Jr. running, he might have a better shot because he is a younger person. And then you look at DeSantis in Florida, which flipped Florida completely red. That's going to be a tough race between the two. There's a lot more people that back DeSantis than there is right now that back former President Trump. I don't know. I'm kind of at a loss. If it was President Trump versus Ron DeSantis, I'm not sure which way I'd go on that. If it was somebody like Don Jr. that could appeal more to the younger generation and get them to recognize that you have to work for what you have. We're not giving you free handouts anymore. We need to go back to working for food stamps and well, in Wisconsin it's called Badger state health care. You used to have to work for that if you were able to work. Now we just give it all away freely, and our taxpayers' money pay for that. Okay? And I don't know if you guys know this, but, and this is just a side thing, in that package that we signed off for Ukraine, I don't remember how many billions it was. Did you know that our taxpayer money is paying for Zelensky and his top officials? We're paying for their retirement funds. That's what they passed in that bill. This isn't about the war. It's not about what's going on. It's the elites having control of the money. Whether they're Nazis, communists, socialists, elitists, they are trying to keep that balance of power, and our taxpayer money is paying for that. Google search it. It's in there. Okay? The last thing I want to bring up, and there's so much more that I could say about this, but I can't right now. I have to be really careful. Prepared Homestead. I don't know if you guys watch him, but he's excellent. He's like me, very low-key, no nonsense, non-hyper, give it to you straight person. He said in his video that I watched last night that we almost need a collapse of our economy and our country to get it back right. He said that a lot of people were going to disagree with him on that. Like, oh my gosh, how much more stress can people take? But I'll tell you, I don't want to see anybody going through any more hardship than what we're already going through. But if we don't right this country, we obviously can't do it through voting, because half the country is still drinking the Kool-Aid. What we need is that collapse to reset everybody. Kick these people off their pedestals. Take the elites out from their underground bunkers and show their true colors and get this country back to the way it was supposed to be. That's what we need. And I got to give kudos to Prepared Homestead, because he's the one that said it. So I'm going to hashtag him in the description, because he needs kudos for that. I support that 100%. Yes, it means a lot of people going through hardship, but what aren't we already facing? Okay? So here's my final couple of things on that. When we talk about prepping, I want you right now to think about going back to the basics. Okay? I want you to think in terms always of power outages, the electrical grid going down. You have to find ways, especially with winter coming upon us, to heat your home without electricity. Okay? Figure out ways to shut off rooms in your house. Figure out ways to heat that small area. Okay, go back to your basics. A snowstorm could knock your power out. An EMP could knock your power out. If this war escalates and we have a tactical nuclear weapon that hits our power grid, you have to think of power out. If there's anything to focus on right now, it's how to cook and heat and have water without a power grid. If there's anything to focus on right now, that's the thing to focus on. The other thing I want you to think about is prepping, as far as, is it individualistic or is it community-based? We are both, and I've talked about our May group before, so you guys know about that. We prep individualistically first, because we are going to protect the people that live here and our May group. But we also have a refuge that we are building, which means eventually we will have community people come in, and we want to be able to provide for that. Okay? But you have to do what's right for you. If you don't have a May group, then it's okay to think about protecting you and the people you live with. And there was a story I read in an article, this woman, and I don't remember where she was from, but they had something happen, some kind of a natural disaster. The power grid was out. And she had extra, I don't remember if it was bottles of water or something. She went to her neighbors, basically, and she was like, here, do you need this? Right? What do you think happened? A year later, they are still knocking on her door. Hey, do you have extra gas? They don't need it, but she had such an open heart, and the community found out about it, and so they were coming after her for all of the things that they thought she might have that she was going to give away for free. Fortunately, her family stepped in and said, nope, we're not doing this. You have to protect yourself now. You can't be doing this. But that's what's going to happen if you think community-based from the get-go. You need to think individually. That doesn't make you less of a Christian. Okay? God wants you to protect yourself first, and then your family, and then the community, if you have the ability. God has removed his hand from America right now. He is calling us for repentance. And instead of us as a collective America going for that repentance, we are creating a further distance from God. And that will continue as long as the people in power stay in power. At some point, we are going to meet God's judgment. Are you ready for that? In whatever form that comes. Stay safe, stay aware, and God bless.